Hi y'all, it is the Southern Belle from Hell here, and welcome to my channel. I have an awesome build for you guys today. 'Tis the season to be merry, guys. So I decided to build National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the house that is the Griswolds. So I did a lot of research on this house. I looked at other Sims 4 builders, past builds. I looked at the actual house's plans. I rewatched the movie twice. I tried to get as close as possible and still keep the house playable, everything functional, and no CC. So this was fun. This was definitely like me thinking outside of the box on a couple of things, and it took a while. It took a lot of editing to get this down to under 35 minutes. I can't believe I did it. There are some parts that I did cut out completely just because I'm doing the same thing for so long, and it's not that entertaining to watch somebody do the same thing for like 20 minutes straight. So right now I'm trying to get the dimensions of the house right. I'm trying to get as close to how the house is presented in the movie and the actual blueprints of the house. So I'm just kind of experimenting around a little bit because we do see most of this house in the movie. So I'm trying to get as close as possible. I think I got as close as I could possibly get for the Sims version of this game. This was kind of like your typical suburban late 80s, early 90s type of house. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation came out in 1989. So it is kind of like your typical home of that time period, like the decor and just basically like what you would see in your average upper middle income type of neighborhood. And I love that. I love that they kind of made it where it was like a normal house. It wasn't extremely spruced up like, you know, the house in Home Alone, which I love. I mean, it's a gorgeous house. But I don't know what that dad did. I don't know what the mom did to afford that house. That house was basically like a McMansion. It is insane. And I thought about building that house for this season, but there are so many really talented builders that have done that house, and it's just so good. I'm like, I don't know if I can compete with so many of the other builders that have made the Home Alone house. There are quite a few builds of the Griswold's house. There are, but not as many. So I said, okay, well, you know what? Since it's not as popular of a build, it hasn't been done to death, why not do it, you know? So I had a lot of fun like messing with dormers and things like that. They have 4 little dormers that is circular like this, and truthfully, the roof is not this high, but I really wanted to put in the attic, or at least have an area for the attic that Clark gets stuck in. Now, if you've never seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, you have got to see it, guys. It is a staple in my household. We have always watched it. I mean, as far back as I can remember, and it never gets old. Like, I can watch it and rewatch it and still find the same parts funny. And what's kind of like, it's depressing to admit, the older I get, the more I empathize with Clark. The more I'm like, you know what? I get your frustration, dude. When I was little, I'd watch it and be like, this dude's crazy. The older I'm getting, the more I'm like, yeah, I totally get that. When you love the holidays, but work is stressing you out, you want to do so much with your family, you want everyone to have the best gifts, you want everyone to come over to your house for Christmas. That's the most stressful part, is when you have basically the bulk of your family there at your house for Christmas. And if you're like Clark, you want to make it just an amazing time, like the best Christmas at, you know, your family member's house that you could possibly have. I feel that. I know I have definitely done that, and it is such a stressful time, and you want, you know, it's with good intentions, but it can drive you nuts. It really can. So I end up changing this part of the build. Like, I was thinking maybe I could do medium height walls for the bottom floor, the first floor. But I end up not liking how it looks. I really love this door, so I end up keeping it. I end up kind of like cheating my way around to keep it, because this front door is not meant to be on a small or regular size wall in The Sims. But I figured it out. After I took it down, for some reason, I could still put it on there. You got to have move objects on, 100%. So I tried to fit the windows as closely as I could to, you know, the actual house. And it was really difficult. It was really hard to tell, like, if the shutters were a light gray or if they were a light green. And then I looked at different models and I saw 2 different versions. So I just kind of stuck with the green because it, you know, had more swatches on The Sims 4, so it was easy to get the small windows as well. I ended up putting a little vent to the side of the house because there's that part where Clark gets stuck in the attic and he's trying to get his family's attention, and he kind of breaks that little vent that's up in the attic. I don't actually decorate the attic. I do put a ladder that you can access the attic, but I don't do it. And the reason why is because I put so many lights trying to match the house as closely as possible. I put so many lights on the ceiling that basically, like, it was so annoying just to work in the attic space. Like, I couldn't hardly see anything. But if you want to download this on the gallery, there is an attic there. You can take down all of the lights. It took me hours, but, you know, if you want to, you know, make the attic playable, you definitely can do that. There is a spot for it. I use the trailer from Strangerville for Eddie and Catherine's trailer, and I just park it right out front. I tried to find a car that resembles Clark's as closely as possible. And I use one of the fairy lights from Cottage Living in the either the debug or the live edit menu, and I put it in that little storm drain that's perfect. It's right outside this lot. And again, if you haven't watched the movie, for context, Eddie with his camper trailer, basically he hops out in the freezing morning and he lets the whole neighborhood know that his toilet is full. It's full of the family's poop. So he empties the poop into this storm drain. And it starts to glow green because of all the gas that's in the storm drain. And I love that part of the movie. It kills me. It cracks me up when he just is dumping all of that in there, and he just acts like it's normal, and all the neighbors, well, the neighbor that they have like the most problems with pokes his head out. And he's just like, yeah, the pooper's full. I'm not gonna say the word because I'm trying to keep it family, PG-13. So yeah, that was one of my favorite things, is to add that detail about the glowing storm drain. When it came to like the backyard, we did not really see the backyard of the Griswold's house. We know that they have a backyard. There's that part where Clark is looking out the kitchen window, and they've got a lot of space, and he's imagining what he's going to do with his bonus, which is to put a pool in. So I tried to make it like they have a porch, and the backyard has enough space for a little pool area. And I just tried to be creative and match like the layout of what seemed to be the back of the house and how the outside of the rear would look. since their yard was covered in snow throughout the whole movie, I wasn't sure how the landscaping was. I remember they did have bushes that had lights on them, so I used the bushes that we got from the Cozy Celebration event that have the lights in it, and just to add realism, I add some overgrown bushes so that when it's wintertime in The Sims, you have, you know, those sprigs kind of shooting out from those bushes. To me, that looks more realistic than like a full shrub in the freezing cold, because they had a lot of snow. Like every day their front yard was covered in snow. So I just thought this would add more realism once I set this lot to winter and, you know, everything is covered and, you know, you see those sprigs kind of poking out of all of this shrubbery. And when I put a sim in here and I turned it on to winter and I, you know, made it snowstorm and everything, it ended up looking perfect. I sized down a brick wall to kind of make a walkway and make it look a little bit more suburban. To me, it felt like it looked so bare when I just put the cement paint down and everything. So yeah, I really like the way this looked, and here I am putting on the lights and I skip it. Yeah, you see all that? That took me 2 hours just to put lights on the roof, and I used the tool mod to place everything, and it's just rows and rows of the base game twinkle lights. And now I'm just doing the same thing, but to the outside of the house, because this set of lights that we got, it automatically wants to set on a wall. It doesn't want to set on a roof. So I had to use the tool mod for it to set on the roof, but I had a really hard time with it setting on the first floor roof in the backyard, because basically that roof's flat. And these walls are, you know, kind of dangly twinkle lights. So all it would do is just cut in to those rooms that's on the bottom floor. So I end up actually skipping putting lights on the roof that's on the bottom floor and just keep it, you know, that big roof that covers the second floor and the attic and everything. But there's so many lights, honestly. When I was taking screenshots, I didn't even notice, you know, that there are spots on the first floor where there's, you know, no lights on that roof. So if it really bothers you, I apologize, but I couldn't get it to look right without it cutting into rooms in the first floor. And I'm not gonna lie, there are some lights that do cut into the second floor, but they were very easily fixable with the tool mod. And I was just kind of like experimenting, checking out how it looks at night and everything. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. And now I'm trying to decorate the inside, and I'm trying to go off of different scenes in the movie. And at first I thought they had these round archways that, you know, go into the living room and the den and the dining room and the kitchen, but it's not round and it's not that shade of wood. It is white and it's square. So I end up going through and changing it later. Now, if you've really paid attention, because I haven't, and then when I started building this house, I started to be more aware. Houses from the early 90s, late 80s, the wall coverings, guys, I didn't realize this. I grew up in the early 90s. The wall coverings are atrocious. I mean, it is awful. Just a bunch of like florals, very basic pastels, very bland. And this whole house is just coated in like the most bland wallpaper that The Sims 4 has to offer. And I tried to match like the typical wall coverings that is in the rooms of the Griswold house, and it got pretty close. Especially the wall coverings in the living room. Um, yeah, it's almost identical. And the wall coverings in their bedroom, like they had this like really pale pink, and their bathroom was pink. I never noticed it before. Basically, his wife, you could tell, like she ruled the bedroom and the bathroom, just extremely pink, like Pepto Bismol pink. So that little ladder that goes into the attic, I decided to put that in Clark, and I can never remember her name, but Clark and his wife's closet. And yeah, I just thought that was a perfect space because we technically don't have like attic doors or any type of like attic function in The Sims. So I said, why not just kind of put it into the closet? That scene where he opens up the attic and the ladder just shoots down and bangs him in the head. Because of that scene, that is a fear of mine. I don't mess with attics. I have an attic. I've had an attic in many of the houses and apartments and stuff that I've rent, a little attic space. If I do use it, I am so cautious with it because that scene has scarred me. I think about that literally every single time that attic door gets open. I'm just like, that ladder's just going to slide right on down. But I try to kind of like mix and match, and I do change the wall coverings quite often because just as I search along, I'm like, okay, no, this will fit in better. I try to size up the Christmas tree so that it looks really, really big, like their Christmas tree. But unfortunately, it wouldn't be functional if I sized it up too much. So I just sized it up a little bit just so that it's more full and covers that space. I wish it could be bigger because to me, it doesn't look like the ridiculous size of their Christmas tree, but it is what it is. But their living room, I feel like I got as close as possible. They had like a little console table that was right behind the couch, and it was covered in cute little Christmas knickknacks. I really wish that we would have had a advent calendar in this Cozy Celebrations event, but we did get this quilt rack that I just put down, and it's so cute. They had like a little area in this corner coming from the entryway that had blankets in it. So I was going to put the blanket basket that we got from Cottage Living, but I said, you know what, that little quilt kit would just go so much more perfect in that spot because it stands up. But their living room, again, it's so 80s and 90s, just kind of bland, but I could picture Clark having his outburst in this living room where he calls his boss everything under the sun. It just started like coming together for me. They had a little den area, and it was green. It was super green, and we don't see much of it, but when I would pause it on the TV, I went, oh my gosh, that is the greenest room I've ever seen. They had like a basic pale green wallpaper, and this type of carpet was popular in this time period, just like either pale green or, well, I wouldn't say pale, like an evergreen green or a blue. Or a burgundy. That was also popular, but they had green in their house. But this room, like, we see the grandparents sitting in there wrapping presents. We see Russ sitting in there watching TV a couple of times. It's just like a hangout room that's not as decorated as the main living room. This spot in the blueprint of the real house, they had this spot where it's like a backdoor entryway. And I just kind of got creative with that. I noticed that in most of their main rooms, like the dining room and the entryways, in the hallways, they had pale blue wallpaper. So I just put, a pale blue type of decor, a little couch, things like that. Just, something to match. And I thought, they could have like their little Christmas decor box in there, kind of out of the way, off the side of the den. But this kitchen, this came super close to all of the screenshots I was looking at. And their kitchen's not that big. I don't know why when I was little and I would watch it, I was like, oh, they have such a big house. This house, like, it's just your average suburban size. And when I think about all the family members that was there, I'm like, no wonder they were complaining about space. Because now that I'm building it, I'm realizing this is really just a single family home. They did not have room for that many family members in this house. But since it's a family house, I tried to like clutter it up and kind of keep it neat, but realistically cluttered. You know, you can tell that there's a family here. But what I've never really paid attention before, but I paid attention trying to prepare for this build. Their family members that was over for Christmas, they were messy. They were leaving cups everywhere. They would tell like Clark, or they would tell his wife, you know, hey, fix this, or hey, this is broken. They did not clean up after themselves at all. Again, never really noticed it before. And then I went, you know what? They're kind of crappy. No wonder his wife kind of was dreading this occasion of having everybody in their family basically at their house. They did not pick up after each other. They were messy. But I sized down a lot of little Christmas decorations to basically make more little knickknacks to put around the surfaces of the house, because they had a ton of little knickknacks that covered the surfaces. I tried to use as much decorations that we have in The Sims as possible, just to decorate the house up. I did not want to use CC for this build. I feel like here lately I've been using a ton of CC in my short builds and stuff, and I'm like, I need a break from CC. Let's just get creative with what we got in the game. And I did, and it was very, very close to the kind of decor and the kind of atmosphere that the Griswolds had. But I did struggle with finding wall decor, like pictures and stuff. A ton of pictures that they had were either just super bland and quaint, or pictures of the family. Again, I would like pause the different scenes and, you know, get in real close to the TV, like, okay, what kind of picture is that? And it would either be like of a landscape or something, or it would be pictures of the family. So I realized there's not a whole lot of pictures that you can get creative with in The Sims. They're either like super quaint and cottagey, but we have a ton of pictures that's like Victorian era or super modern. I kind of struggled with that. I tried to get creative, but I did put a lot of blank frames in the house just because they had so many pictures in their house of their family. You gotta admit, Clark Griswold was a family man. He tried his best, poor guy. But they had one little downstairs bathroom. You don't see it in the movie. Again, I'm just going off of the blueprints of the real house and trying to match it as close as possible to the typical decor of this time period, you know, kind of keep it quaint and homey. And after this, we're basically done with the first floor. It has been decorated to heck and back. So now we are getting into the second floor and just kind of decorating up the stair landing. And again, we don't see a whole lot of it, just like quick little scenes. And they have cute little entry tables that are kind of scattered with some Christmas decor and your typical type of clutter items, you know, that your regular old family would have. So I tried to kind of make this space look as realistic as possible. Put a little curio cabinet there, another blanket, maybe someone else needs it. But the Griswold's bedroom, Oh, it was so pink. I never realized how pink this bedroom was. And it had this pale floral wallpaper, very similar to this. And yeah, I never ever thought of their decor before until I did this house. So I try to make a little space for, Clark's books, men's care type of stuff. But, when I think about his wife, she just looked like such a classical beauty. Her hair was always fixed. She always had like a little bit of makeup on. She was always dressed up really nice. So I thought I'd give her a little vanity area, that's got her makeup and her nail polish and perfumes and things like that, because she just seemed to really take care of herself, I guess. Like, she wasn't super spruced up. Like, she wasn't bougie, but she always looked nice. And again, it's not really details I paid attention to until I was trying to get ready for this build and thinking of like details to fill in spots that you don't see in the movie. So I tried to get really close and put in like little quaint paintings. Since this room has more color, I put in some more colorful paintings to kind of match, that transition into this bedroom. And here's their closet with the stairs that go up to the attic space. I just, I don't really like go into it. I just put like a little hanging area, hang some clothes, put some shoes. There is one scene, actually there's two. There's two scenes where you see their bathroom. And those walls were so pink, like bright pink. I almost put the wall coverings from Love Struck. But then I was like, that doesn't look like it is from a 90s, late 80s house. It looked a little bit more like 70s. So I stuck with this. But yeah, it just kind of killed me how pink their freaking bathroom was. I never noticed it before. So now I'm working on the kids' shared bathroom, and I just kind of make it like I did the downstairs bathroom, just kind of small and simple, with more like relaxed type of bathroom accessories. Like, you can tell Audrey, the daughter, does her hair in here. It's got some more clutter pieces. Russ, he's a child, but he's not like a little child. Like, he's entering his teenage years. He looks like he's a preteen in this movie, like maybe 13 or something. So I don't put like toys or anything down, but I do put stuff that's more in his bedroom, more on the kids side of what we're offered in the Sims game. And with Audrey's bedroom, you only see one scene of her bedroom in the movie. And she has this wallpaper that has a ton of little flowers all over it. And I couldn't find one that matched it in The Sims. So I just went with this wallpaper because it does have these flowers and it is reminiscent of, like a girl's room. But she had a lot of girly stuff in her room. And it's crazy because Audrey doesn't really come across as a girly girl. So, for Russ's bedroom, again, you don't see a whole lot of it, but the clips you do see, you see like there's a gaming system. I put an old computer in there. I don't know if the Griswolds had computers, but I went ahead and put it in there. Oh, and I put the new GameCube that came with the Cozy Celebrations kit. Like, I know in the early 90s, mid 90s at least, we had a GameCube. We had a Nintendo. So I figure they probably would too. Maybe not yet, but possibly. I put a little boom box in there, and I put a poster of like a pretty blonde. Because if you recall, on his ceiling, he had a poster of Otis. If you don't know who Otis is, she was a famous playmate at the time. She was a centerfold, I want to say, in 1989, if not maybe a year or two before. So yeah, that was the model that was on his ceiling. And The Sims, they don't really have like posters like that. You know what I mean? So I just tried to pick something that had like a pretty girl in it as, you know, like a little Easter egg to that particular scene where Grandpa is looking up at Otis. And this bedroom is just like a guest bedroom. I clutter it up like this is just like the extra room that they just keep a bunch of stuff in. And if someone visits, there's room for them, but it's not super neat. This could be the area where like Clark does office work. You know, when he's not at work, this is where he like does stuff that maybe he's behind on. Some old trophies, things like that. Clark is super competitive, but we are nearing the end of this video. Stay tuned for the screenshots. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Merry Christmas. Have a good one.